Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I can ride home with you in the afternoon. I am with Phillip Gilliland. He is with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. We actually go to his church. It's actually out there in Woodville.
That's
But
right.
before we get started, let's go ahead and mention where you can find us and where we are right now. We're at the Gadsden Mall, and we are at Books A Million.
Yes, great bookstore.
Oh, it is. You know what? I was the geek in school. I think I sent you. You didn't believe it. I actually graduated from Geraldine High School, was quietest, and I'm sitting in a library holding a sign that says "Quiet, please." And did I send that to you?
Yeah, I think so.
And so I've got to send it to you. I'm at home here in the bookstore. I absolutely love it. So it's a great place to come, relax. Got to get ready for finals. Got to do some research on something. Come here to
Yes.
Books A Million. And you can, if you've been shopping, you've got the entrance that you can come inside the mall. But if you're on your lunch break, you just got to hurry up and buy a book for a present for somebody. Go in the front entrance because
Oh,
you have
yeah.
that entrance as
Yeah.
well.
That's the one I came through.
Absolutely. So what's going on with Cowboy Church?
Oh,
Something
it's
coming up.
we are in the busy time of the year. It's it's about to be camp season. I'm going to meet Matt Knowles tomorrow. Matt's our camp director, so he does a great job. That begins the end of the month. Of course, we have the quarter auction coming up at our church, but every one of our churches are in full swing now. There's ranch rodeos and different things happening. I talked to a couple of pastors this morning, and everybody is busy, and it's good stuff. It's the way we do outreach. A lot of it is with chuck wagons or in the arena, and this is the arena time of the year, so it's a good time. It's really busy, and I've known, because this calendar, I've been looking at it for a few months, and so this month is my busy time too, and it's a good thing. But a lot of good stuff happening. The way to find out about a Cowboy Church's activities is to go to that Cowboy Church's Facebook page, where you may not know if you have a Cowboy Church near you. So what you can do is go to our website, which is AmericanFCC.org, and you can put your zip code in there, and it'll tell you where the closest Cowboy Church is to you. So in Alabama, there's 23 Cowboy churches, several in Tennessee, and in Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, and those are the ones I'm more familiar with. Now, having said that, I'll be in New Mexico next week, and we have people that work out that way. We have new churches in New Mexico, a new church in Kentucky, new church in just out from Knoxville in Tennessee, and a lot of places. And we're doing clinics and pastor processings and a number of things that we have go on. I have one of those coming up in East Texas next month, so I'll get to be out there with some of my friends, and it's where we take a pastor and his wife through that process.
That's phenomenal. I think it's
Yeah.
needed.
Yes, because you need to find out who they are, and they need to find out who we are, and we need to look at God's Word together and make sure that we're on the same page. And we learned a hard lesson many years ago, so we do a very thorough background check. Same way with the ones that'll be working with our kids at camp. They go through a very thorough background check. So we do due diligence to take care and make sure that we do things right. We don't want anybody around kids that are not supposed to be around kids, and by the same token, if somebody has really had some serious problems, we don't want them leading more of our. We don't want to put our name with them, and we've had that to happen once. So we learned a very difficult lesson, and it made us better, and we haven't had that problem in a long time.
That's awesome. And sometimes the kids are the ones who bring the parents in.
Oh, it is. I told one of my pastor friends this morning that one of my favorite things is just a kids' play day. Now we this is the time of the year we have these ranch rodeos, and Lord knows I love ranch rodeos, and I've judged a lot of them, and go to the finals every year in Amarillo. I love all that, but my favorite thing is to be in the arena with some kids that have never got to ride a horse, that never had access to a horse, and put them up on a really gentle horse and just lead them around for a little bit. Uh, I've told this story before, and their picture came up in my memories this week. Uh, we were about to record a show in Scottsboro several years ago, and this lady called me from right out of the blue, and she said, "There's 4 children at my house." She said, "Only one of them is mine, and she's an infant." But she said, "I'm taking care of 3 other children that are the oldest one is 8 or 9." And I said, "Well, what can I do to help you?" And she said, "We've tried to take these kids to the aquarium. We've offered to take them to the zoo." And she said, "All they want to do is ride a horse." And so I said, and it just so happened, I said, "Well, next Saturday, we have a fun day planned at one of our churches. And could you bring them?" And she said, "Yes." So we cleaned out our closet at home of all the boots and hats that the boys had outgrown years ago, and she brought those 3 kids. And what was special about them was those 3 kids, their mother was in prison, their dad was not in the picture, and they needed some encouragement. And it was the best day. Number one, my 2 boys, my own boys that are teenagers, they were a little bit younger, but they helped me brush my horses off and load everything in my trailer. And so they got to firsthand see what it's like to help somebody that might not have it as good as you have. So we went over there that day, and she brought those kids, and we put hats and boots on them, and we led them around for 3 hours, and my boys led them around. And it was a heart-touching experience to see the smile on the face of those children. And I would take anything for that. I mean, it's just like you're right on the threshold of heaven when you're doing that, and you got these little kids that hadn't had anything to smile about in a while, and yet they're all lit up and having the time of their life. So those are the kind of things that I think we use them for outreach, but you never know when you might be reaching further than you think you are.
That's true.
Uh,
Absolutely. I wanted to mention this too. Research has been done. Our friends at Shepherd's Cove Hospice have told us about this. So they have a retreat where they have horses that come in, and so horses have been they're good
oh
therapy
yeah,
for
they're a
kids.
good therapy animal. Yeah, there's some, and I've done some of this
They're
myself.
good therapy for me too. I
Yeah,
love horses.
they we've had some autistic. I've led some autistic kids around on horses that thoroughly changed my own life, because there's nothing like putting a kid on a horse that. I mean, I put a child on one years and years ago that could not say one word. And it was, I guess, the thing that really spoke to me about Cowboy Church, because we were just kind of trying to get into Cowboy Church a little bit. And this friend of mine who's in heaven today had a granddaughter, and he wanted to know. He said, "We saw a special on TV about how these horses." He said, "Do you have one that I could bring and let her ride?" And I said, "I absolutely do." And I didn't give it much thought at the time, but the next day they brought that child, and she was maybe 10 at the time. And we had this old horse. He lived to be 35. His name was Rocky, and he wasn't very big. He was just bigger than a pony, but not much bigger. And I put her on him, and we led her around, and her granddad was holding her steady on one side, and her mother was steadying her on the other side. And I was leading her around, and it was really dusty. I'll never forget it. Uh, I looked down at my boots and they were just covered in dust, except for where the teardrops were hitting in the dust on my boots, and it forever changed my life. And so you don't know, you may think you're doing a small act, but when it becomes a spiritual thing, you don't know what God can do with something that you may think it's little or small or insignificant. It may turn out to be the biggest thing that ever happened in your life.
I want to tell you something that really is big to me, and because I've had a small child in church before, and I know they can raise a ruckus, okay? And the people will turn around, they'll stare. Sometimes the pastor of the church will stare at you like, shh, your kid, like that. This is what I noticed about going to Phillip's church. A kid could scream at the top of his lungs, and it doesn't bother you at all.
No,
as a matter of
no.
fact, he is happy to have the kids there.
Oh, absolutely.
So don't worry about kids at this church.
Yeah, I had Sunday afternoon, we went back to do a memorial service at 4 o'clock. We'd been to the dedication service for the Maker's Child, and I went back to our church to do a memorial service for a high school friend of mine who came to our church. He was a Vietnam veteran, a great guy, and so most of the people that came were just his family, and there was a kid kind of having a fuss in the middle of that memorial service, and I just smiled because I thought, nobody got excited, nobody said a word,
nobody said stare.
No, nothing happened. I mean,
That's
we went
what I
on,
like.
and it was great. And I thought, thank you, Lord, for the reminder of what Cowboy Church is. Cowboy
Church. You
Church.
actually have kids there, because a lot of churches there are no kids, and I think it's because people get embarrassed. They're afraid they're going to be called down if they're kids.
I think that's the saddest thing, and I hadn't been in one because Cowboy churches just don't have that happen. But occasionally you'll go into a traditional church and there won't be any children, and I think, man, how sad is that? Of course, in all fairness, I must admit, I spent about 30-something years doing children and youth ministry, so I do have a spot in my heart already for children and young people, and this world is so bad. It is so horrible. If you can steer them away from it and get them involved in something much more positive, and that's the one thing I think that Cowboy churches do really good, is involving young people. And a lot of our parents have ended up in Cowboy church because of a child or a grandchild or something that they didn't know was about to happen, but then it happened. So,
well, it would have been refreshing for me because Brad, and Brad, he could kick up even now at 40-some years old, but he would just be a kid. He would just be, and I remember trying to get him quiet, and the more I would try to get him quiet, the louder he would get.
yeah.
And then every Sunday I would say, I'm not going back. This is too embarrassing, but it's a relief to the mamas. I mean, to the mamas that you're not going to make an issue out of it.
No,
Kids are being kids.
No. Well, usually, if I see a young couple that brings kids there and they're new, I go and tell them, I say, look, now I want you to feel comfortable. Make yourself at home. And no matter what that child does, I promise you it's not going to bother any of us. So if it bothers you, then you do what you need to do. But as far as bothering me preaching or bothering the music or anything else, I promise you, that's not going to bother. It's not going to have an effect.
Something I noticed my husband Phil does. So used to he would kind of look around the kids, like that, because he's from traditional church. And so now when a kid acts up, he just looks and smiles.
Yeah.
That's a huge transition for him. I'm just telling you.
Well, I think the
kids are there.
If we have children, our church always has a future. Without children or young people, I don't know what kind of future we.
Kids need to have this. They need this to fall back on because they're involved in school. They're involved in all kinds of things that can bring them down.
Absolutely.
So they need a rock to hold on to.
Oh, they do. And what I love is I get messages, and I can show up at one of our other churches, and you would think, well, they're young people don't even know me, but I can go to any church and they'll be just lined up hugging my neck or talking to me at other churches, and I cherish that probably as much as in, not that I don't love our kids in our church, but the fact when I go to another one for something that they have kids and
They
young
remember you.
oh they do they
Kids
do
remember. They always remember someone who accepted them.
well
Everybody's looking for acceptance.
they will recognize your heart. You will not be able to hide that from
Kids
a
and
kid.
animals.
They will look through. They will read you like a book. They will.
Oh yeah, they absolutely will. I wanted to mention, so there's a tornado came through North Alabama. You folks that are living in other areas of the country watching this right now, we've had some pretty rough weather.
We have.
This is up in North Alabama. So I was talking to Curtis. Curtis called,
Yep.
and he said, "I want you to go ahead and get the word out that we're bringing the Cowboy Church, up there, the chuck wagon." And that was a phenomenal thing. Thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys for doing that.
Well, we carried food and water from our church. We went to our freezer. And other churches did the same. Lookout Mountain did, and I think some others did. I think maybe Rugged Cross did, and I think maybe even Boaz, Sand Mountain Cowboy Church may have done some. But I think they ended up with a couple of chuck wagons, and they actually had more food than they could give away. So it was a good thing, and it hadn't been but a few weeks that they had come back from Stinnett, Texas, where they had been cooking for people that lost everything in those fires out there on the range, and they were gone like 10 days for that thing, and we were able to help. The American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches was able to help some financially with that, and a lot of churches funnel that money through us, and we tried to get it in places where it could be most effective. So I'm thankful that the churches did that. I'm thankful we're able to find those avenues to get the money to where it can be used for ministry and outreach and help feed people and encourage them when they've lost every. And we I know Curtis told me, he said we serve food to some people that lost everything they had. So
There was a lot of destruction. Bill and I,
yes,
we went to, it was Mother's Day, and we went to Lamont's Mexican Restaurant, one of our sponsors. You check them out too. They're wonderful folks. And so we went up there for Mother's Day, take Mother out there for Mother's Day, and she loves Mexican food. So, but we drove around all the different areas, and I noticed a lot of destruction, but I also noticed some other happenings. There were houses, nothing was touched in the house, but trees were
yeah.
all around them.
Yes, there
And
was a
stayed
lot
away
of
from their
trees.
house.
Yeah, a lot of trees. I noticed that same thing, and even close to where we live, there was a lot of trees down, and we were blessed that it wasn't worse than what it was.
Yeah, because it could have been. We live kind of in South DeKalb County for you folks that live in Alabama. So we're South County. This is all up north DeKalb where it hit. It seems to be following the same path. It
Yeah.
was happened a couple of times in that very same area.
Well, and it was in that same area in 2011, April 27th in 2011, when there was so many tornadoes and there was like almost 300 lives lost in Alabama, and we fed people for 2 solid weeks, just out from Henniger a little ways. We wasn't in the park; we were in another location, and we had companies uh, that brought big trucks in, were refrigerated trailers with food in them, and we cooked meal after meal, and what a blessing that is. We didn't bother taking the chuck wagon. We just carried what we had to have to cook, and all we did was and thank the Lord for these people, Miss Denise Rojak and others that just just took the lead, and they just kept cooking and kept cooking, and day after day, and we were working in the community trying to help the best we could, and boy, it was horrible then. There was so much destruction that night, but it was a blessing to get to do that, and we weren't the only ones. There was the the relief team from the Alabama Baptists. They were activated, and they did a lot of things. A lot of churches and a lot of different denominations showed up. Uh, I think that says something when a disaster happens there's nobody trying to fly their flag. They're trying to work together, and I believe that's a good thing. I think sometimes maybe God lets these things happen so we will draw together. And
Yeah, during COVID, and I wanted to mention Bobby Ledbetter, the Twin Cities used car sales. I went by this morning, by the way, did a little quick video.
I intended to come early and stop by Bobby's, but I got 2 or 3 phone calls and I had some distractions. But I was thinking about him this morning.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, and he always wanted to connect with you guys.
Yeah.
You would go. It was when COVID hit. He began in Fort Payne, and he doesn't want to brag on himself, so I have to drag it out of him. So I said, Bobby, I want you to call me, and I tricked him. And so I had him on the show talking live. He didn't know he was doing it until I said, by the way, tell everybody on my show hello. And he said, Miss Donna, you tricked me.
Yeah, he's a
That's
good
the only
guy.
way I could get him to say anything. He doesn't want to brag, but I'm bragging for him. So he fed a bunch of people, over 1,200 people in Fort Payne. And then after that, he said, Miss Donna, do you know you've got a big outreach? Where can we go? And I said, come to Scottsboro. So he comes to Scottsboro, and he wanted you guys to come. And
Yeah.
you guys cooked food like crazy.
We figured it up in the 5 counties, and we couldn't have done it without Bobby. Bobby was the guy that he had the vision for it. We just became his hands and feet to make it happen. And John Merrill, who was at every one, he was at every one of them. And we had a lot of mayors and representatives that came and other people, but I think it was over 40,000 people in a year and a half we fed in 5 counties, thanks to Bobby Ledbetter and Miles Smith. What a blessing.
I mean, it was amazing. And then at Christmas, you guys gave away like a turkey breast.
Yeah,
And cans of corn and beans and apple pie pecan
Yep.
pie.
It was a complete meal to feed about 6 or 8 people. And we did that at the Ag Center in Rainsville, and some people from Cornerstone Christian, where my wife teaches and my boys go to school, they came out and helped us. And I want to tell you, if your kid has never known what it's like to give somebody that doesn't have food, give them food, I promise you that is an education that is, I mean, they can't get that. So we had some of those kids, and of course John Merrill was standing right there with them, and he was showing them firsthand nobody is above bending over to help somebody in need. And that was a great day. That was a great day.
He kept rushing me though.
Yeah.
My job, I was like the Walmart greeter, so and I love kids, so I wanted the kids to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So I was talking with them, and John kept going, bring them up.
Yeah. We had cars lined up. We had a line of cars, and we just bring them through and put that food in each car.
That was just
It
amazing.
was a blessing. It was a blessing to get to do that. What a great time. I thought about it. You will never forget. I will never forget it, because I know there was some people that we handed food to that were living out of their car. And I promise you, there is nothing like handing somebody some food that's having to live out of their car.
And they just kept thanking us over and
Yes,
over and over
yes, they
again.
were
And I would
very
say, you
great.
need to thank Cowboy Church and John Merrill, and you also need to thank, Bobby Ledbetter.
Yes.
Used cars. So anyway, Bobby, thanks for making all that stuff happen.
Oh, it was
We're going to be doing
incredible.
something here at the mall pretty soon.
Good.
You
'cause-
guys are going to be involved in it too.
Yes. I love Bobby. Of course, that's we needed a vehicle not long after that. Boy, there wasn't any doubt who I was going to. We went and bought my wife a car from Bobby, and she's still driving it till this day. It's been just great. And that's the kind of person I want to do business with, is somebody that has a heart for people. I love Bobby, and
I
man,
thanked him again this morning.
good.
So what I did is I went to his. By the way, it's just off of Biggin. It's real easy to find right here in Gadsden. You'll notice the big signs. Oh, and by the way, if things happen in life, because of COVID, a lot of folks are credit challenged.
Yeah.
So what he does now is he's offering an alternative. So he's going to make sure you get a car one way or another.
Oh yeah. That's
He's gonna
him.
help.
That's him. He is not just a used car salesman. He is so much more than that.
Oh, he's definitely not. We got to go into a commercial break. That's the little alarm. See, we get to talk, and so that's just the way it goes. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Y'all hang in there. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. And we've got something else we're working on, and I'll tell you later.
I like secrets. I like good news.
I'm excited. Podcast. Make sure you go to that podcast. And by the way, thank you so much for sending emails. You don't know how that makes my day. And usually it's night now before I can check them. So I'll look up. We're getting ready for the next day, and I'm checking my emails, and I see emails from you. It makes my day. It most certainly does. So keep sending them, okay? Anything you would like to see me do differently, if you would like me to do a little research. By the way, I was quietest in Who's Who. So we're here in the library, which is like my life. I love it here. You can find so much information. And by the way, if you're going to seminary or you're studying to be a minister, plenty of seminary books here.
Good.
I'm so glad to see that. So come here, check it out. Research, kids having to do stuff for school, you'll find the books they're looking for right here. And if they don't have them, they can go online and they'll look at the book for you. I mean, they'll do that for you. So anyway, I'm so good to be at Books A Million here at the Gadsden Mall.
Oh, it's the thing, too. It's my wife's thing. This is my wife's favorite place. If you take her to a mall, the only place, she doesn't care about jewelry stores. She doesn't care about the makeup. She wants to go to Books A Million.
There you go. Maybe she and I can hang out here.
She loves it.
There's a jewelry store here. Okay, so I've had this ring now for 31 years, and look.
Oh, you lost one.
I lost one of them. And I probably did it digging in the dirt.
Yeah.
Probably. So there's a diamond, little tiny bit of a diamond somewhere in my house, I'm sure. And so there's a jewelry store that has been recommended, and they do jewelry repair here.
Oh, good.
So just as soon before I go home, I'm going by there and I'm dropping my ring off. So I'm pretty sure. I was told Kaylee Johnson, by the way, Kaylee got a job promotion. And so she's doing extremely well. We're so proud of Kaylee. She's going to try to be on the show with you today.
Oh, I do like her. She is sure driven. I love a young person that is driven and motivated and hardworking. I grew up, my dad and my granddad were that way. And I told Danny yesterday, I was talking to another staff member, Danny Bry, and I told Danny, I said, we've been kind of coasting here for a couple of months, and now we got a couple of months where we have something every week, and we got a lot of traveling and a lot. And I told him, I said, I'll be sharper when I'm really challenged, and it's true. I mean, I think I got that from the way I was raised. If you don't work hard, and of course my dad was born in 25, so he lived through that post-depression era and saw the effects of it, and those people really never got over it. That's why they hoarded everything and saved everything, because they knew what it was like to be without and have nothing. So, but my dad, he was such a hard-working man, and I was really thrilled this week that Sunday we went and did the dedication service for the Maker's Child in Albertville. There's two things that are really dear to my heart: young people and we call them special needs people, but they're not. Some of them are really that might not be the right term, and I'm not sure what it is. But I because they seem to be such overachievers that
they are, and then they have a lot of strengths we don't have.
Yes,
I love hanging out with them. I learned so much.
And I got to see some of my favorite, and some of them I know that were there. We had a great turnout, and my oldest son made it possible that to help make that happen financially. So they recognized and are doing this huge plaque in the name of my parents, which is Byron and Ruth Gilliland. So it was a special time to see that, because my boys worked for my dad in the summer when they were out of school, like my younger boys are working for my older boys this summer while they're out of school. So, if somebody doesn't motivate you and somebody doesn't teach you, my dad was a teacher. He worked and he loved to work. And I always say this, he probably loved to work a little too much, but he is, and one day, and it wasn't long before he passed away, and he and I were sitting talking, and he said, "You know what I miss the most?" And I didn't have to think for a second what it was, but in order to let him say it to me, I said, "What?" He said, "Work." I missed the work I got to do, and he was such a inspiration to a lot of people because him and my mom both worked really, really hard, and they wanted to have things to provide for us. So that's why my wife Elizabeth and I are working to provide things for John and Jacob. I did that for my older sons, and they've been incredibly successful. And I want John and Jacob to have the same thing. But that Maker's Child and the Miracle League in Albertville, Alabama is my hometown. I moved 15 years ago to help start a Cowboy church, and I've been in Grant ever since, and I love it there. But Albertville is my hometown. The old farm, and my sister and my boys still have a place there and land there. But I love going back and seeing the Miracle League and the Maker's Child and what they've done for young people that don't have it as well as some of the others. But what a blessing, and thanks to Chris Johnson and John Henderson and all of those people and pastors that made that happen. What a blessing it was. So, that was kind of my day on Sunday afternoon. It was pretty touching because there were some people that came in there that I've known a long time, and they tried to tell me thank you, but it wasn't me, it was my son. But they wanted me to. He was there. He was there, and he enjoyed it. We walked through the playground. We watched kids, and even yesterday, I told you this. We were Jacob and Olivia were with me, and we were at Local Joe's, one of my favorite eating places.
One of our sponsors.
Our sponsors, and so we went to Local Joe's, had lunch, and I said, "Well, it's hot. There won't be anybody over here today." And so, but we're right there at it. So we'll drive down to the First Baptist Church and see the playground. And there was quite a few kids right in the middle of a day on Monday playing on that playground. Well, it really made my heart feel good. So it's a good thing.
A good place to go. Good, serene place, safe place to
Oh,
go.
yes. Yes, it's all built, engineered, and everything just for special needs kids. So where they might not be able to do much on a regular playground, they can do it there. I mean, there's safety features and things to, even if they're in a wheelchair, they can ride some things and be part of things, even if you're in a wheelchair. So that's the neatest thing to me. I just loved it. I love it, and I'm glad that we got to be a little part of it. And I'm especially proud of my oldest son for helping make that possible.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great things going
Oh,
on.
yes.
We're inundated by bad news all the time. Every time you turn the TV, even the commercials are bad.
Yes.
I mean, it's just bad stuff. But just go out and seek. You're going to find good stuff.
Oh, yes. There's too many. We don't hear so much about the good stuff. We hear a lot about the bad stuff. But man, I've talked to a lot of our pastors and the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches where we work, and most of them have a lot of really good things going on, and this is our busy time of the year. A lot happening with our chuck wagon teams and our arena teams, and we're getting ready to go to camp, and we expect that to be the big.
Is an awesome thing.
Oh, and Lookout Mountain's got over 100 kids going. I couldn't believe that they could send, but I love
can't
it.
believe it. I'm going to tell you something else. And let me tell you about Lookout Mountain Kids. Because a lot of folks, when kids go somewhere, they'll say, well, that won't last. Maybe a week they'll be back. They keep it up.
Oh, they do.
Continually talking about it all through the year, not just during the event.
Oh, and I love Don and Judy, but I also am I am really getting tight with Robert and Selena. And I've known them for a while, but to see how God is using them as they lead those young people. Of course, we kind of got a special interest in one of those because my oldest son's girlfriend, who he met at camp last year, is Nevaeh, and we love Nevaeh. She graduated this year, and he was at her graduation last night. I got tickled at him. He worked all day yesterday. He comes in and runs through the shower, changes clothes, and takes off. He said, "I got to get to graduation." I said, "Welcome to my world, buddy." So it was fun, but thank the Lord for our churches and what they do, and the churches that support what we try to do. And it's exciting times for us because of the new church affiliates and new church starts and new pastors that are coming along. It's some really good times in the Cowboy Church.
That's a question about because sometimes kids can just get in with the wrong crowd, and I was very watchful who Brad hung around with.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when they hung out, I always wanted them to hang out at my house.
Oh, absolutely.
And it cost me a lot of money in food, but I was okay with it because at least I could know what was going on. So why should parents be just a bit nosy to know who their kids are hanging out with?
Oh, yeah. And most of the time they're at our house. When my first,
I was good with that.
I'm good with it too. And even when Joey and Jason, the older boys, were young, we would have kids at our house all the time. They were riding horses or fishing or playing ping pong. They were there where I could watch what they were doing. And I love that. Now, I think Cowboy Church is kind of that way. It's certainly a safe place for your kids to be. And my favorite night of the week is Wednesday night because that's our youth and children. That's who we prepare food for them, and we have 3 different age groups, and we teach them and do fun things with them. And we have kids that might not have that kind of food. It sounds like a Cowboy Church here a little bit, but I'm
Did
good
you notice
for that.
either one of us batting our eyes?
It's good. It's all good.
Like,
But I think that's the best part about Cowboy Church. We have kids and young people, and they'll keep you on your toes. And so I'm thankful for those people in our churches that do work with our kids and young people.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you about volunteer opportunities. I know you guys do a lot of things. Are you looking for cooks or anybody just
Well,
that
I think, we like to get people plugged into something. Everything we do is by teams. We have a chuck wagon team, we have a marina team, we have a hospitality, we have every kind of team you can imagine. And you can get plugged into a Cowboy Church to do something and be a part of something. Everything we operate by is by teams, and those teams, we don't vote on a lot of things. We come to a consensus about it. And if we can't come to a consensus, we pray until we do come to a consensus. I think that what hurts traditional church and has hurt it over the years is voting on so many things. And we don't vote on much. Now, we'll vote on the budget, or if we're building a new building, we'll vote on that, or making a major purchase. But otherwise, we don't vote on a lot of things. And that gives kind of gives credit to division. When you start voting on everything, you start dividing people up, and
you could never get me to vote on carpet. I don't know how many churches we went to where they would say, "Well, what color are you going to choose?" And I'd say, "I don't care. If you think, or I will like anything anybody chooses.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I wouldn't do it. I never have.
Well,
voted on carpet.
that's not a problem in Cowboy Church because we have a concrete floor, and we may have a couple of cowhide rugs on it, but we don't have carpet, and we don't have padded pews. We don't have a lot of things that traditional church has, but I think it makes it makes church not so much about the building as it does about the church family and who we serve. And and I'm not down in traditional church. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for traditional church. And those people that invested in me as a young person, my parents always carried me to church. But man, there was a lot of other people that invested in me. The Sunday school teachers and vacation Bible school, and I still have wonderful memories of those people that have long been gone on to be with the Lord. But I couldn't do it what I do. This one lady in particular, she taught us how to memorize the books of the Bible in the order they were in. That was her gift. Her name was Miss Lou Emma Rice. And Miss Rice, that's Linda Gale Knight's mother, and Joellen Cash's mother, Miss Lou Emma. She taught all of those kids that went through that church. Miss Boots Cochran, who's in heaven today, her thing was to teach us about missions. And Miss Boots Cochran taught us about missions, and I mean she made sure we understood what Lottie Moon was and Annie Armstrong and all of those things. And thank the Lord for those.
I was always glad to hear those names. I mean, because you're not going to hear it in the world.
That's right.
And I'm telling you, there's some big names. If you don't know who those women are, you need to really look it up. You'll find it on there.
Oh, it is. And they did phenomenal things, and those are fond memories for me.
Me too.
But it gets me where I'm at today. It's able to get me to where I'm at.
And then to a child, so I grew up in a disturbed home. So to go to church and to see other families and how it can be was huge to me. Because if I hadn't had that insight, I'm not sure where my life would be right now.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, but to know that there's a better way of doing things, a better way to live life.
Oh, it is. And I think we all need a spiritual life. We need a spiritual life. We need to nurture that. We need to live it in front of our children.
I wanted to mention this, and this is the coffee machine right down here at Books A Million. They've got awesome coffee. Joe Muggs.
Joe Muggs, yes.
Joe Muggs. And did you know it's all natural?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
No fillers.
Really?
So you know how I am a natural. I got to have all my stuff. I grow my own veggies, if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
So it's all natural. So when you hear that in the background, somebody's getting some good coffee.
Yeah. And I have used that stuff you made for me. You remember the side that you made?
Yes.
It was great.
I was going to tell you, Phil gets these leg cramps. And usually what he would do is just run to the refrigerator and just take a bunch of mustard, because that helps.
Yeah.
But it takes time for that to react. So when he has these leg cramps, he just puts a little bit on his legs and right there.
Oh, it's good stuff. It is good. I'm afraid I'd forget to tell you that, but it's great.
Yeah, it's all natural stuff. But that's why I said that here. Joe Muggs, all natural.
Oh, it is. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I remember that. So we were talking about Cowboy Church. So weddings are a little bit different at a Cowboy Church. We're about to get into that season.
We had our first one in our new building as a week ago this past Saturday, and I didn't actually do it. One of my lay pastors did it, and he did a great job with it. But weddings are a lot of them are outside. Some of them are in the arena and different places. But we still do the vows, and we still have prayer. We still do the important things. They're just done a little differently. And that couple that we married, Trey and Kelly Napier, this past Saturday a week ago, they branded a cowhide with what's going to be their brand, and they did it instead of lighting a candle.
What a treasure!
They branded that cowhide, and some people have done it and branded a piece of wood, but they branded a cowhide, which was great. It was a beautiful brand on it, so that signifies their union together.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes. It was a neat wedding, and I was glad we had one in our new church building. Of course, we've been in it 2 years, and I've done a bunch of weddings, but they've not been in the new building. So this one was in the building. It was a beautiful wedding. It was a great thing, and I was thrilled that Brother Charles did such a good job with it.
Can we address some of the things that are not true that are said about a Cowboy
Sure.
church? I've actually had someone tell me that they had heard. They said, "Oh, you go to Cowboy church? They ride horses in there, don't they?" And I'm like, I don't know how you get a horse in there. And
Well,
I'm quick to say, no, I love horses. I would not have a problem with a horse being in there. However, they do not ride horses inside
no,
the church.
no. We worship Almighty God. We read out of the Holy Bible, and we're a church. I mean, some people I think come to Cowboy Church thinking it's like a saddle club, and as soon as they realize this is a church, they may leave. But it is a church. It is a God fearing, God worshiping church, and there's probably not more than 20% of the people in Cowboy Church that has a horse. They just are people that like the relaxed atmosphere.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I asked you one before I started going. I said, "Now I don't have horses or anything, but I'm a beekeeper. Does that count?"
Yeah, people come that I mean, there's been ladies come to our church that had no clue about anything farm. Otherwise, what they do like is being able to come to church like people went to Jesus in whatever shape they're in, and let Him do the changing. It's not we don't try to change anybody, but we like for God to do that work, and that work is between the individual and the Holy Spirit. But it's still a church. It's this church, and a lot of people don't know this, but there's four of our churches in Marshall County that all belong to the Baptist Association, and thank the Lord for it. They have helped us financially when we needed help getting started. They helped us, and I'm forever grateful. We are still sometimes we attend the meetings and do things, but our church is just a little different. The American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches doesn't lord over or try to manage another church. We view every church as an autonomous body. The only way I go and show up to a church is if either a pastor or an elder calls me and says, "We're going through a bit of a challenge. I think we need your help." And that doesn't happen very often. But when that happens, then I'll go. And we do clinics and things about our church model and the way we do church because we want to make it where people feel free to come in whatever shape they're in. Uh, we always say this: if you walk around the Cowboy Church parking lot and don't see empty beer cans in the back of somebody's truck, you're not reaching all the people you need to reach. So it's not up to us to change people. It's up to us to tell them about Jesus, but not up to us to do the change.
Because sometimes people just go through things in their life, and maybe they lost their way. I've lost my way before, and a lot of
Me
people
too.
have.
Me
So,
too.
I mean, it's just good to know that you can go and find the way without someone looking down on you.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the thing. There's no judgmental attitudes and no preconceived notions about who you are, what you ought to be. That's up to you, between you and the Lord, and we just come like we are. And I think that's why our fellowship is so kind and so warm. It is either that or it's the hot coffee that we have.
I was about to mention that. Who provides the food back there?
Uh, the church, just the church does.
So if I wanted to make some cupcakes, could I
Yeah,
just bring some?
yeah. And some people do that. Brad Wilson cooks sausage and biscuits homemade every Sunday, and he brings 30 or 40.
I just like
Uh,
making cupcakes.
I didn't look what was in there, but Miss Vivian came to our church. She's an older lady. They actually live up north, but they have a place down here. They come down here in this a good bit and stay down here. They're usually here more in the winter, but they've been there the last several weeks. Sweetheart of a lady. She's her and her husband. But I noticed she brought in a big box Sunday of muffins or something, and I love that. I love it. I don't mind and it's not uncommon. We might be in the middle of the song service and somebody go and fill their coffee cup up. That's
Oh,
good.
man. I wanted this. You just reminded me of something else. I have asthma, And even though it's a lot better now, I've learned to take ginger root, by the way,
Yeah.
and that's really helped my coughing. But I tend to sit in the back just in case.
Yeah.
Nobody looks down on me, and if I do start hacking my head off, nobody stares at me.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel free, because there are some churches I would never go to because I would be afraid, oh my God. And it could be anxiety, being afraid, if I start coughing, what's going to happen,
Well, I think this, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think, the best, it's been 15 years since I spent much time in a traditional church. Now, I did go to my friend Dustin Henshaw's church to hear Dr. Ted Traylor a few weeks ago, and I loved it. I love Brother Henshaw. He's a great guy. He's assistant principal at Cornerstone, and he pastors a church there at Pisgah, or Henniger. But I love him. He's a great guy. But in traditional church, sometimes when things get still for a moment, it sounds like a pin dropping. You'd hear. I don't think it's like that in Cowboy church.
That's when I would cough, when it would get like super quiet. Then I find myself like exiting the church because I don't want to make a big stir. But I'm just saying, if something happens, you got a flu. Okay, we're in the season now where pollen is everywhere. Somebody's gonna cough. Nobody stares at you.
Yeah, I got tickled, and this has happened because it can get out of the limit. I was watching Brother Don live stream yesterday or last night one, and he had told his church in the kindest way, look, if I'm preaching, I'd really appreciate it if y'all didn't carry on a conversation. He's not the first one to do that. I've got a friend out in East Texas that he really unloaded on them, but it's so relaxed that people tend to just be their self.
Yeah, I may sit with somebody and say, you know what, I can some green beans.
But I got tickled, and Don did it in the nicest, sweetest kind of way. He did it so much better, and I know what it feels like to have to do that. The last time I'd done anything like that was when we were in the old building, and it was my wife, and I didn't say a word, but I did stop for a minute, and that's all I had to do. But it was my wife was the one. Somebody was talking to her, and she was replying to them, and so I just stopped for a second. That was all that. And nothing else ever happened. Boy, I knew if I'd have said anything, it would have been too bad.
You'd have been knocking on our door. Can I sing a little bit?
I'd have been home.
I appreciate you being on the show with me. Can you believe how fly?
It just does fly.
It just zooms by. But this is where we go to church too. So
we love having
with us.
Yeah, we love having
with us. I think I've been to almost every church.
You've been
almost. Yeah, I like to visit them to see, just to check everybody out. But the common thing, I'm telling you, the common thing is if you have children, perfect. Okay, this is the perfect place for you to go to. Now keep some control, but what I mean is nobody stares at you as the mom or the dad, and nobody stares at your kids. I mean, this life.
It is. It is.
Thank you, Phillip.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Quarter auction. When's that going to be?
June 1st, I believe. Is that this Saturday?
Oh, that'll be this Saturday morning.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be coming up. And they're going to have an auction.
Yeah.
And a bunch of our sponsors have given away restaurant cards. So
a lot of things.
There's other things out there.
Yep. And all that money goes to help send our kids to camp and helps us do the Warhorse camp that we do at our own church.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching. And thank you also to Gadget Mall for letting us be here. And in Books A Million, come get your books, okay? Yes. And your Joe mugs. Make sure you get that here, too. Thank you for watching.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.